Welcome to the Talking Heads podcast. Got a super special guest today, Haley Rose-Lyon. How you doing? Thanks for coming on.
I'm awesome. Thank you for having me. This is an honor.
You want to kind of talk about a little bit what you do? What are you all about? What's your craft?
Oh man, my craft currently is comic book lettering. I got into it almost 5 years ago now, but not really fully into it until maybe about 2.5 years ago. So I'm still kind of in the first stages of my career, but I'm working at it. And otherwise, I kind of do a mishmash of other things. I help out my husband, John, who you've had on the podcast before, I believe.
We know him.
Yeah. Of Make Stuff fame.
I know him. I know him.
Yeah. Was that an Elf reference?
Yeah.
Yeah. Elf, so good. Anyway, but yeah, so that's basically what I do. I used to be a manager at a local coffee shop, but COVID hit, and it kind of gave me the excuse I needed to try to do lettering more full time, which was nice. Have
you been finding a lot of gigs lately?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty great. I've got a couple of projects on the go, a graphic novel that I did coming out later this year.
What?
Yeah, and so it's pretty cool. I mostly, I don't know, I'd say probably more than 50% have worked on like indie stuff so far. I have a webcomic that I'm lettering and editing going on right now called Caballeras.
Ooh, what's that about? Caballeras?
Yeah. So it's the feminine version. It's not, I don't think it really exists. It's just kind of like a feminine take on caballeros. I think it's a Spanish word for knight, or the closest thing to it.
Like conquistador?
Something. But yeah, so it's this really cute kind of story set in a fictional magical land based on like Spain in the Middle Ages kind of deal. How'd
you get into this? Yeah, how did this come about?
Mostly, I get most of my my gigs from just people reaching out to me. I'm kind of I try to push myself on the socials as much as I can. So and that's kind of I get people asking me to do stuff, which is really, really cool. It's something that every email I get from somebody wanting me to do their comic, I get a little flutter in my stomach and in my heart.
You get a little excited?
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I don't know if it'll ever go away.
You get kind of nervous? I get nervous sometimes when I do freelance stuff.
I still get a little nervous, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's always like that voice in the back of your head, like, what if they hate it?
Yeah.
That's always like the first, until you show them like something.
But it's that kind of imposter syndrome deal, where it's like, no matter how much praise you get, you're always going to have that little guy in the back of your head, doubt.
I think it's it's not a healthy motivator, but it motivates me sometimes.
Yeah, as long as you're not letting it cripple you.
You have good days and bad days.
Yeah, that's true.
So what about this graphic novel? Can you talk about that a little bit? What's the graphic novel?
It's called Great Naval Battles of the 20th Century. That's the long title.
Ooh, historical?
Yes. It's actually, this is second thing that I worked on with Dead Reckoning. I don't know if you've heard it's the graphic novel imprint of the publishing arm of the U.S. Naval Institute.
Whoa. Say that again?
Yes.
What was that?
So the U.S. Naval Institute has a book publishing kind of arm to it. And just a few years ago, they announced Dead Reckoning, which is a graphic novel only imprint. So yeah, it's kind of like a crazy thing that I never even knew existed. And they reached out to me a few years ago to do work on Once Upon a Time in France, which is they mostly I think a lot of their stuff is translated from other languages, mostly French. So both the books that I worked on, Once Upon a Time in France and the new one coming out, were originally written in French. So they have someone come in and do the translation, and then I go in and do the lettering. It's kind of a very different process than a lot of comics and graphic novels. And then there's weird stuff that you don't really come across in many other things. Like sometimes they're kind of getting out of it now, but sometimes for some reason in France the word balloons, like just the white bubble, those are embedded in the art itself, but not the text. So you're able to go in and change the text, depending on whether you're making changes or making translations, but you can't like change the balloons themselves because they're static on the art.
So it's standard in like American comics that the art and the balloons are separate?
Yes.
So you would receive, what is the normal lettering process like? I guess we could start there.
Yeah, let's backtrack a little.
Yeah. So what is it like to normal, like any other comic you've done that you would consider normal?
So, I mean, it does depend on whether you're working with a publisher or not. Obviously, it changes drastically. With indie projects, it's a lot more kind of you've got a little more flexibility, but the process is the same mostly because obviously the letterer gets the comic last, and so it usually goes. More artists are colorists as well nowadays, but it used to be that somebody would do like the pencils and the line art. Or sometimes people are just like line artists. There's a lot of kind of, there's like roles, very separate roles in comics. So it would be, either the artist, colorist, or the artist, and then the colorist, and then the letterer after that.
Like the billing order, is it ranked like that? Like how you just said it? Okay.
Sometimes when I am asked to do a book, usually if it's a publisher asking me to do a book, I don't really see the comic until several months later. It can be, 1 to 3 months, because they're usually in the middle of the process or right at the beginning. But with indie projects, the nice thing is a lot of the time people are looking for letterers after the fact because it's hard to get everything in order at once, especially somebody who's doing an indie comic usually isn't an indie comic maker full time. So a lot of the time it's kind of they work on the comic and then they find an artist and then they find a letterer, at least I've found. And then it varies also because sometimes the writer is the artist. Like on Caballeras, the creator, artist, and writer are all one dude. Jeff Class. So then that's a totally different situation. It varies so wildly, and the whole format it can differ so wildly from print to just comics like normal kind of format comics that are just going to be distributed digitally and they don't have any intention of printing. Sometimes that happens, and then there's web comics that whether they're being distributed on like Webtoon or Tapas or wherever, the format can change, like the dimensions that you need and stuff like that. It's just there's always things to learn, and I'm literally learning something new every day about this craft.
Do you have to like set up so if you're ever doing something for print, do you have to like export the pages like for print when they're done? Or do you just like pass like a working file off to whoever would be like printing it, I guess? Have you ever had to deal with something like that?
Again, it depends. Like for my projects with Dead Reckoning, I've kind of also taken on the like a kind of page designer light kind of role.
Okay.
So the files that I send them at the end are like the files that they'll be printing.
Yeah.
So in that case, I do kind of have to, change sometimes the French version, is printed in different dimensions than the English version. So I have to go in InDesign and change the whole thing.
Don't say InDesign to me.
Oh, yeah.
It's like my garlic.
InDesign.
It's my kryptonite, man.
Yeah, so they work in InDesign, which is a learning curve for me also because I hadn't lettered in InDesign before. It was just Illustrator. So obviously InDesign for lettering is a lot less flexible, but it's good. It's all right though because their comics are more kind of traditional style. So I didn't really have to experiment too much with different things, you know. So I get to experiment in other ways though.
What is the last cool kind of typography experiment you did in a comic? One that you're like super proud of?
I'd say there's a page or there's a few panels, and I can't remember what page it is now, but it's one of the more recent pages of Caballeras that's up on Webtoon and Topos and whatever. Up till that point, I hadn't really experimented a lot with sound effects. And so I kind of got to dip my toes in that a little bit. And I think I made some really cool sound effects on that page. Sound effects are hard because it's a whole, like sometimes in some comics, the artist will do the sound effects themselves, and then sometimes the letterer will come in and do the sound effects in addition to the dialogue, which is a kind of a vagary that is not great in the industry because, you know, you don't really know, like when you know your name is on, you know, in the comic as letterer, then, you know, sometimes like you don't want people to assume that you did or did not do any element of it, kind of.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe that's my overthinking streak. But you know, it's like if somebody sends me a page where the artist has made this like really cool sound effect, and I was like, oh, I hope the reader doesn't think I did this. The most recent kind of take I've heard on sound effects, at least when they're done by never mind. In general, the kind of the take that I like the most is that the sound effects should match the art as much as possible. So when the letterer comes in and does the sound effects, you should match the style of the artist as much as possible. So, you know, if the artist uses a lot of textures, might want to include that in your sound effects. Looking at what kind of like pen strokes they use, kind of trying to like replicate that. So it's kind of like trying to assimilate everything together.
Man, yeah, this is a dope fucking comic.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think like Jeff is such a great artist, and I think everything comes together really well. And the webtoon kind of format is new but exciting to me. And
I got a cool idea for a vertical scrolling comic.
What's your idea, or do you not want to give it away?
All right, I'll tell you. Okay. You know, and the shitty part is I recently found an anime that is just like my idea.
Oh no.
It's like the main fucking. So anyways, it's like a creepy kind of horror mystery, kind of like Ad Astra. I don't know if you saw that. Apocalypse Now. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have seen that.
So how he's like going to find him, and it's this guy that works for this company, and there's this like big giant pit that just opened up in the ground. No one knows where it came from. And this company, like, I don't know, mining company or something, they're like exploring it. And it's about this guy going down it, right? So it's him going down a hole. So that's where the verticality comes in, right? And the mystery is what's at the bottom of the hole. And the further he goes down, it's like cut with memories of his life, like that fucking like kind of shaped who he was today. But you find out that like there was a guy that went before him, and they lost contact with him at this certain depth, and then like he gets down to that depth and he like loses the contact, right? And then later down in the story, you find out that the guy before him was actually his dad, and he's going out after his dad, and like something tragic, I don't know tragic, but it's kind of like the metaphor is like you go down that like deep hole, maybe depression, or you get too deep in your own thoughts, how it changes you, right? And then he's going to like find his dad at the bottom of the pit. and he's gonna be like all changed, like fucking, I don't know, H.P. Lovecraft shit or something.
That format works really well with horror, I feel.
Yeah, so that's my idea. Maybe you can letter it for me. That'd be fucking dope.
Yeah, dude. That's the genre I haven't delved into yet, and I've been wanting to. The comic I'm working on, that I just started working on for someone recently, is a little bit more on the horror side, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Can you talk about it at all?
I don't think so.
Ooh.
I can't. It's like the gig is brand new.
Okay.
So
That's
I'm just
cool.
trying. It is the third issue of an indie comic. When I read the first issue, and I thought the art was like really cool, but then the writer said that they had to find another artist, and the new art is even better. So it's a good sign.
So we've narrowed it down to a comic with dope art. All right.
Yeah, that's kind of horror-y.
Okay, kind of spooky. Perfect time for upcoming fall. Best time of the year.
Oh, can we talk about Halloween?
Fuck. Yeah, we could talk about Halloween. I'm pumped.
It doesn't even feel like, usually halfway through August, I'm like going into stores and everything's like to Michael's and shit. Like they have like the full spread halfway through the summer, and and it's just like my heaven. And I just, obviously you can't really go into a lot of stores right now.
Yeah,
and
dude.
That kind of holiday cheer.
I know. I'm hoping that fucking shit gets better before Halloween so people can go trick-or-treating. I love scaring children.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best. We do zombies every year. We're
Nice.
pretty known around the block as the zombie house.
Sweet.
Plus, it's on a Saturday this year. Full moon.
Oh, yeah?
It's going to be the best Halloween ever. I'm talking Kit Kat, Reese's, Butterfinger, M&M's. I can keep going. Keep going.
Crunch bar is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I can't wait. I love Halloween. I have like a graveyard that I add to each year. I get like a really dope, heavy tombstone each year, like a good like $30 one.
I got like 4. Do that forever.
Dude, I just add one each year.
You've got a lawn?
Yeah, man, I got a lawn.
That's been my dream since childhood, is to have a big lawn that I can make into a graveyard.
You gotta believe in yourself, and one day you'll have the spookiest graveyard in the neighborhood. Unless you're in my neighborhood, then you're never gonna get the spookiest graveyard.
Okay.
So back off.
We'll see. Maybe we'll see. Maybe I'll move into your neighborhood specifically to do this.
I'll take that as a challenge to my spookiness, my spooky status.
Okay. I'm not gonna forget this.
Me neither. I'll write it down in my dream journal. Tuck it under my pillow. Yeah, it sucks also that they postponed the Halloween movies, man, because of COVID. Another shitty COVID casualty.
Yeah. We saw the last one in the theater on Halloween night.
Nice.
It was great.
Dude, yeah, that was the first time I had seen a Halloween movie in theaters. And when it started playing that music, dude, I was like, oh shit, here we go. I was pumped. It was awesome. It was such a great movie.
It was fun. It's fun as hell.
Dude, it was so much better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
They nailed it. It was the perfect amount of like creepy and then like the myth of Michael Myers, like they had all these awesome like Michael Myers moments. It was sick. It was great.
Actually, I hadn't seen any of the previous ones.
That was the first one you've seen?
Yeah, but I mean, I knew like all about the lore.
Yeah.
And shit, but.
We gotta go back and watch them now.
Yeah.
Shit, you only have to watch the first one now, because that one is like the sequel to the first one.
Right. And then what? Some of the other ones are like just stricken from the record. They're not even canon.
All of them now are not.
Look at that.
Anyways, back to your comics.
Back to yours? I read a little bit on Instagram.
Oh, you read a little Troglodyte?
Yeah.
Nice. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Yeah, thank you.
I like your format too, like how you post like the full page and then each panel.
Yeah. There's this other.
That's a really good idea.
I can't think of this other guy I follow on Instagram, but that's where I got the idea from. So I didn't think of it.
Yeah, well, is this the one that you were saying before that you're introducing dialogue into?
Yeah. So there's like, I think I have like 3 more pages done than what's on Instagram, and it's like that last panel when she comes in and she like says something in that alien language. That's like the first time, other than like someone screaming, it's the first time someone's talked. And then in these next panels, it's like the first time you understand what they say, because he gets like a voice chip put into his neck.
Oh,
so
yeah.
He can like, so then you can't say like, oh, they're fucking aliens. How do they understand each other? So you gotta the little things so people can't poke holes in it.
Yeah, that's like the saga thing too.
Yeah, exactly. They do address it though with I guess they all. Well, yeah, I guess you wonder how they all speak the same language, but the war's been going on for so long, right?
Well, they have a lot.
Oh yeah, the rings.
Alana has the rings.
Yeah, I was thinking more like the common. What do they call it? Common tongue or something like that.
Oh yeah. Well, that makes sense too. But
Yeah, I've been using your videos you made about like formatting the balloons and stuff as I've been going in on my first outing as a letterer.
Nice. I think it's a great, even just the basics. It's great for any artist to pick up, because it really kind of gets into kind of like graphic design light. It's just a good thing to have in your back pocket. I think the even just the one balloon you have there on Instagram, I think it looks great.
So I don't know about you, but I got a couple like favorite fonts. Do you have any favorite fonts?
Oh,
that you go
fonts.
to? Do you have like a go-to font you use when you're working on comics, or do you try to use a different? I guess each one is going to be a little different, right?
I mean, yeah, it depends. Like a lot of it is kind of just intuition at some point, because it's like if it's a kind of like a roughly drawn, kind of like a little bit sketchy comic, then you're gonna want a font that kind of matches that. I just bought one called Invulnerable off of Blambot.
Okay.
And it's already like paid for itself, because I've like started using it for several things, especially like even like I use it in like my Twitter banner, and I think I might end up using it in this new comic I'm working on.
Oh yeah, your Twitter banner, by the way, is awesome. It is very clever way to show people what you do. And
I hope so, yeah.
It's awesome.
I worked really hard on it.
It has your Twitter picture, and it's like a drawing of your face, and then the banner is like all comic balloons, like saying who you are and what you do and shit, and they're all different types of balloons. Yeah, that's sick. And you got like the halftones in the background. That's really good.
Yeah, thanks. I tried. I know John had the suggestion to like have the same kind of have like a kind of what do you call it? Yeah, the kind of halftone thing kind of blend into the background of the profile picture as well. But the way that they kind of changes the...
Oh, you couldn't get it lining up, like, right?
It's I could do it for either mobile or desktop, but not both, because it changes the positioning of everything, all the images.
That's the world we live in.
I spent so much time trying to do it too.
Yeah,
for not
too many devices, man.
Thwarted again.
What would be like your dream lettering project?
I mean, anything by Gerard Way.
What has he done?
Gerard Way got into comics while he was the lead singer of My Chemical Romance.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, he was always into comics, but he kind of started publishing The Umbrella Academy, which he wrote during like when they were touring. Anyway, so he's kind of like, have you seen the show at all?
I know of it. I haven't watched it yet, but
It's,
I do. Yeah.
It's super good. The Umbrella Academy, I think the first issues came out like something like 12 years ago now. But yeah, so I mean, I've been a fan of his for most of my life at this point. So, and it just kind of happened that my favorite band, the lead singer, ended up, our careers kind of went into the same kind of vein, which is weird.
Yeah, you're in the same industry.
Yeah.
It could happen.
It could, even though like I don't know if he's worked with any other letterers, but
so
obviously
is it independent who publishes Umbrella Academy?
It's Dark Horse.
Okay, gotcha.
So like one of the bigger ones, and he works with like top tier creators. So like it would probably take me another like 5-10 years to be at the level where I would even be considered.
Yeah, shit. Just keep grinding it out, man.
Yeah, man. Never
on
know.
the grindstone. Yeah, just keep at it. You never know. You never know who. It's such a small world too. That's something I've been coming to learn lately.
Well, now that My Chemical Romance is back together, though, I feel like it's gonna be harder. Yeah. I don't know if he's gonna be making stuff, but even if he does, he's gonna become a lot more, in the spotlight again. So yeah,
definitely. If you could give yourself one piece of advice from when you started to where you are now, what would it be?
It would be ask and you shall receive. Because once you start putting yourself out there and trying to like actually, I don't know, it's like just emailing somebody or, whatever, tweeting at somebody or like can lead to, furthering of your career. And, it like your whole life doesn't have to be about it, it takes a lot of, it takes a surprising amount of confidence to reach out and kind of, again, put yourself out there.
Yeah, it's hard to do, man.
Confidence that I did not have a few years ago.
You gotta shake it into you. Wake up.
Yeah, be like, you can do this. You are capable of this, and you will do this.
Yeah, you want to tell everyone where to find you, to look up your work, hire you if you're looking for a letterer. Where do you go?
Okay, well, you can go to HaleyRose-Lyon.com. All my stuff's up there and my contact. Also, I'm on Twitter at Haley A. Rose. And that's about it. I've got an Instagram, but I don't really use it. So yeah, that's me. And even if you just want to like give me a shout and talk about the craft, I'm always available and happy to chat.
Hell yeah, we gotta get back on here again sometime. We can go a bit more into comics talk. I'm always looking for more people to talk comics with.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, that was another episode of the Talking Heads podcast. Haley, thanks again for coming on. You're welcome back anytime.
Thanks, man. It was great.
All right. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Whoa, you're still here. Click up here to subscribe and click here to watch some of our other videos. You dingus.